Guys, as everyone's still filing in, just to introduce Jerry real quick. I'm not gonna go into all of your background because I'm sure you will share that, Jerry. But for those that are here in the mastermind, Deal Finders Mastermind, Jerry's one of those people that he has a specific skill set that most people don't know you need. Everybody, we know sales is sales, but there's a certain way about going into sales that allows you to be more successful than just about everybody else because most people don't know what he knows, and most people don't try to put these pieces in their conversations, in their strategy. So, uh, and I'm sure, Jerry, you've been doing this for so long, it's kind of like just, it's old hat for you, but I see people every single day that just don't know that there's a process to sales.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to hear kind of your take on that and what you have to share. And you guys, he's going to share some slides, probably go through some awesome stuff for you, and then we'll have time for Q&A. And then of course, Jerry, your contact info, if just make sure we share that with everybody at some point,
Sure.
in case they want to reach out later. But I'm gonna just let you run with it. I'll be here. I'll go on mute. But yeah, you take it over, Jerry. Go for it.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you, Andrew. Appreciate it, buddy. So, well, listen, guys, happy Tuesday, and glad that you guys were all able to jump on here today. I'm going to take just a little bit of time here and share with you some things that I think might that would help you out in your real estate business here. And this is really focused towards the ability to what I call sales, but it's more about acquisitions, your ability to convert more and more seller leads, because that's something we're always looking for, right? There's more opportunity, more deals on things. So if you guys, I don't know if some of you are able to jump on your camera on things, that'd be great. If you can't, I understand, but it's always nice to put a face behind the black square. So, but anyways, guys, I just really I've been doing this a long time. I got a few slides I'll share with you here on things, but you guys, it's interesting on this. I've been doing this for 31 years now. I started in this business back in 1994 in the full-time real estate investment side. So I've been doing it a long time and can't believe it's been over 31 years, but man, time flies. So I was just telling Andrew that one of our sons just got married here Saturday, and he was one of my youngest sons. And then I got another son getting married here in 2 weeks. So it's like back to back jam in weddings on things. So yeah, like I said, it's a fun business to be involved with. It's fun to get your family involved with, and some of you might be doing that now. So, but like I said, what I like to do is share with you guys a little bit about my story. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but I really want to do is share some real value with you guys, and hope this will help you in regards to speaking with your sellers. So I'm just curious if you're able to jump on, or if not, you can put it in the chat. But how many of you do the real estate business full time right now? Okay, Sean. All right, cool.
Yeah, I'm semi-retired, so I kind of do it as a side thing to
Okay.
keep myself busy.
Okay, that's cool. Anybody else?
But
I'm
it's
like,
it's all of Sean's time, so it's full of his time. He's not doing, he's just not doing much. Yeah, I see a couple people in here full time. Julian, he's an agent and full time. Kalen, you can see Kalen over there painting. He wants to do it full time.
I saw you give a thumbs up on that. Okay, cool. Well, look, doesn't really matter if you're doing it full time or part time. The biggest thing is, guys, do you want to do more deals? That's my big question. Do you want to do more deals? And do you want to make more money on each deal? All right. I hopefully that's lots of thumbs up on that. All right. So if that's the case, guys, we got to get really good at acquiring these things, right? So what I'm going to do, Andrew, is I'm just going to jump in and just share with you guys some slides here. I want to make sure, should I be good to share? Oh, it's looks like I'm disabled on the share right now. I'm gonna try it again. Oh, looks like I am good. All right. So I want you guys to let me know. Can everybody see this? Everybody hear me good? Okay. Now, guys, we have a small group here. Okay. So I want to let you know as we're going through this, if you guys have questions, just holler at me. Okay. We'll keep it really simple on that. Is that okay, Andrew?
That's perfect. Love it.
Okay. So we'll just run through that and try to share some stuff with you guys here. And if I'm going through it and you guys say, hey, wait a minute, Jerry, what about that? Boom. Let's just stop and we'll share on that real quick. Okay. So basically, who am I? You know, I'm a husband to my wife, Joyce, and father to Kendall, Jordan, Natalie, and Craig. And so actually I've gotten the boys right there. I got the one in the back just got married over this last weekend. The other one in the middle there, he got married about 2 years ago. And then the other one towards the front, he's getting married here in a week and a half. So family's expanding. Right now, I'm ready to start bringing in grandkids. All I have now is I have grand dogs. So, all right. So, anyways, guys, over those years, as I mentioned to you guys, I've started in the business back in 1994. Actually, through this year, we've it's hard to track exactly but we know we're over 3,000 because we've thrown away thousands and thousands of files. We were in the days where everything was a file. And there was no electronic files for years. Okay. So, but we've done a little bit of everything. And guys, over those years, you know, we've been involved in fix and flip deals, wholesale, commercial, multifamily. I was even involved with like General Dollar, Family Dollar stores for a good while. We've done that back in early 2000s. And, you know, so we've done a little bit of everything when it comes to the real estate side. And now we currently we're running a business that operates. Majority of our deals are wholesale or like wholesale type deals. We do quite a bit of innovations and so forth too. And that business just keeps on chugging along. I have someone that's overseeing that. I have a COO. She runs the day-to-day operations of things. And she's been with me about 12 years and she takes care of that. You know, so that's allowed us to do some other things. And one of the other things I got involved with probably closer to about, a little over 15 years ago, it was really starting to educate others because I had so many people just come to me say, hey, Jerry, how do you do this? How do you do this? And that just expanded and grew. And one of the areas that really became my superpower was the ability to really think about sales and sales when it comes to working particular with your sellers, but it can also be with your buyers as well too. Okay. So some of you might be real estate agents. Some of you might be in a position where you're dealing with sellers directly. Some of you might be working with buyers directly, whatever that is. These techniques will help you in all areas. Okay. All areas completely on things. So I'm just curious. And if you guys can maybe give me thumbs up, or if you're able to jump in and say, hey, Jerry, that's me. I want to know how many of you guys are actually wholesaling right now? Anybody?
So most everybody in here is South Carolina based, so we don't use that word anymore, Jerry.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
It is a dirty word.
Dirty word.
Yeah. So most deal finders, right? Everybody in here is finding deals. I think most of the people want to take them down and do their own flip.
Okay.
But
So my next question is, how many are you doing fix and flips?
yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. That's a very viable source. In fact, we still have my two sons. I was sharing with you a little quick. They got involved with the business a couple years ago, and they're handling any the fix and flips that we're doing right now because they opened up a construction company. So it makes it really nice when it comes to that. So, okay. What about any of you guys buying and holding? Okay, cool. And some of you are probably doing everything above one way or another, except you're being a deal finder.
Wink, wink, right?
Yeah. Okay. So the thing is, guys, no matter what you're doing here on this, I think everybody wants more opportunity, more deals. Is that true? All of us want some probably more deals to put together, put more deals into our pipeline, because ultimately that's how we're going to build our wealth, right? That's how we're going to go out there and either build this into a real business that allows us to step away from our daily job on things, or be in a position where we want to build for future wealth. Okay. One thing or another, but we all want more deals. And that it really comes down to a couple of things here. And I think a lot of us want more deals too, without having to spend a ton more on marketing. Because some of you that are already doing this know that, especially nowadays, marketing is very expensive on things, very expensive. And it just keeps going, cost keeps going up. Direct mails went up more, the pay-per-click, those type of things. And Andrew, I'm not sure what all you guys teach when it comes to that, but I'm sure there's a lot of different ways you guys go into, and when it comes to lead generation. So, but either way, it's a cost on things, right? And our goal is to get a really good return when it comes to that marketing side. Okay. So to accomplish this, guys, we have to look at two main things. One is marketing. Okay. One is marketing. The other one is acquisitions. And I look at this, and I want you guys to think about this here. When I look at our business models, and regardless of what you're doing with the deal, okay, you have to look at it like it's an assembly line approach. There's this like this little mini factory that you have. And this little mini factory you have it in a position where you're going to have marketing on the front end somewhere. And that marketing is going to drive leads into your system. Then you got to get to the point of, once those leads go through like an intake process, you got to get good at converting those leads. And what I have realized over the years, a lot of people can get really good on the marketing because we can automate this. We can put marketing more onto an autopilot situation and start generating leads. But I saw where the big gap is right here on the acquisition side. And what I started noticing on this was, this is not just about taking something and putting on autopilot. Guys, this is a skill. Now, whether you're doing it yourself or you have a team that does this for you, you have to master this skill. Because if you guys think about it, if you're putting any effort into marketing, whether it's free marketing, just hustle generation, or your paid marketing, guys, you got to get good at converting those. And then think about this. If you had leads coming in and you could convert on average one out of, let's just say right now you're converting every 10th one, you're doing a conversion on, that you actually get to talk to and so forth on things. But what if you could take that conversion and cut that in half and then do one out of every 5? Do you think that would make a difference in your business? Do you think that would make a difference in the revenue for you and your family? Huge difference, guys. And not only that, what if you could increase the margins on a per transaction basis by in the neighborhood of another 20% or more? Okay. Then that really starts to have a major impact into your business on things. So that's what we really look at. And what we have to realize is that this is a real process that can be learned. It's a skill, but the skill itself is based upon a process. Now I'm going to share something with you guys real quickly. Some of you might say, well, I'm just not really good at sales. Okay. I'm not a salesperson. That's good, because I typically don't work with a lot of salespeople. What I work with is investors who have, maybe they've had some sales experience, but they've never really been the salesperson. And that's okay, because what I've learned is it's not about becoming this rock star salesperson, guys. What it's about is being a good person. It's about being honest. It's about telling the seller the truth. And it's about being a people person. It's about being a good listener and be able to communicate with people and basically have a conversation. But at the same time you're having a conversation, you're following a process that allows you to create repeatable results. So now, instead of focusing on being a rock star salesperson, we focus on a rock star sales process that allows us to enhance our skills to another level. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. So that's what I want to share with you on this. So as we go into this a little bit deeper, I want to share a couple cool things with you when it comes to this. And really, what I like to say is this: we have a mission. Okay. And that mission should be to close all closable deals. I want you to think about that for a second. How many of you have ever made an offer on a deal and you got beat out on it? Or the seller went dark on you, or the seller said, maybe, think it over. I got to talk to my attorney. You know what? My neighbor was thinking of, the neighbor said, if I ever decide to sell, they would want to, they might want to buy it. Or my tenant, my tenant's been there a long time. I got to give them the first, I always told them I would give them the first shot of buying this property. Okay. These things sound familiar, right? These are things we deal with on a regular basis. So the thing is, a lot of times what we do, guys, is we leave deals on the table that are closable because we don't know that they're closable. And the key to this is getting to the point when you walk away from a deal that you're not able to close, you should be able to know the exact reason behind that. Okay. And see, when you can do that, then you're in a position where you're focusing on closing all closable deals. If it's not closable, that's okay. You're doing your job. Okay. But I see so many people in this business, either they're doing their own acquisitions or they have a team, and they struggle with conversion on things. They can generate all kinds of leads, but they leave tons of opportunities on the table. Okay. So with that said, guys, we have to look at it and say, well, what do we need to do when it comes to this? How do we become, focus on this being able to close all closable deals? Well, we have to go through a process. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you a little bit of framework for the process. But then, Andrew, what I'm going to do for your group is I'm going to dive into one portion of the process. Because, guys, for me to be able to go through the whole process, that'd be a little tough, because I have a sales academy where I train people in, and it's over 16 weeks. So it's a little tough to do just within an hour, but I'm going to take one segment of that and give that to you guys. Does that sound cool?
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Right,
That's
cool,
huge. Thank you so much. Yeah.
All right. So let's jump in. We're going to talk about the close, and then we're going to realize the close is about presentation and negotiations. Okay. Presentation and negotiations. So let's jump into that. So I have a question for you, completely off the real estate subject here, guys. Now, because I believe that every one of you at some point in time have had to see a doctor. Okay. So I have a question for you guys. How does a doctor know when it's time to diagnose and issue and prescribe a solution for you guys? When does a doctor know it's the proper time to do that? What do you guys think?
When you go in with a problem.
Okay. When you go in with a problem. All right. And then what do they typically have to do to find out what's going on?
Ask you questions.
Yeah. So they have to ask questions. Exactly, Sean, on that. So would you think that maybe they have to do an exam? Okay. If they need, think about this. When they do the exam And when they do it properly, guess what? They can get to the proper diagnosis. Okay. So if we would look at that, and I'm just going to run through this a little bit here. Let's just think about this. So here we have this nice doctor here. Okay. So as I look at things, and let's just think about in the doctor's world. In the doctor's world, I go in and let's just say that, let's say Sean goes in. Sean goes in, he's got this massive headache going on. He's been having it going on for weeks. It won't stop on things. So there's something else going on. He's kind of concerned about this on things. So what is the doctor, a good doctor, what are they going to do? They're going to kind of go in, and one of the first things they want to do is start removing some of the fears and anxieties, right? They want to be able to go in and kind of take that pressure down a little bit. So, so Sean doesn't feel so scared because he's been doing all his own diagnosis by searching online. Okay. Right. And we all do that sometimes. So she has to do something called set the stage a little bit. She might say, hey, Sean, look, I know you let the nurse know what was going on. I'm seeing all the notes here on things. What I like to do is take a little extra time here today, and maybe we might spend 20 minutes or so together here. And I'm going to ask you a lot of different questions on things, and then on top of that, what I like to do, Sean, is possibly lay out some other tests and get those scheduled for you. And my team, nurses and so forth, can help you do that and get that set up. And then I think, Sean, probably the best thing to do on this is we'll get with you and schedule a time for you to come back into the office, and we'll review all this with you so we can figure out something here, what's really going on, and get some type of plan in place for treatment. Fair enough? Okay. Now, how does that make Sean feel? Makes him feel pretty good compared to if he just walked in and the doctor said, Sean, sounds like you got some real issues going on here. Take this medicine and call me, and let my nurse know how you're doing here in 2 days. Okay. So what do you think? Which doctor is going to make him feel better? The first doctor or the second one? Okay. The first one, right? So then what's going to happen is the doctor is going to go and start really diving in deep in those things. She's going to ask a bunch of questions. Like I said, she already told Sean she's going to do that. So she has to diagnose what's going on. She has to figure out what's going on in his situation here. She's going to dive deep into, Sean, when did he start? What time did it usually happen? What kind of pain level usually is that, from, 0 to 10, 0 to 5, whatever that is. Is it greater in the morning, greater in the evenings? All this stuff. She's going to do complete diagnosis on it. And then she's going to be in the position where she says, hey, you know what, Sean, I just want to let you know some of these tests we're going to do, we're kind of moving into the deal killers. Okay. And some of these tests we're going to do might be a little uncomfortable on things. And you're going to have to make several trips here. And I want to do one with probably put you in the hospital overnight. And we want to do a scan on things and stuff like that. So it's not going to be the most comfortable thing on this, but I want you to understand this is what we're going to get out of this to really be able to help you on things. And then, Sean, we're going to have you come back in. So he does all that, has the test and stuff done, comes back in. And then what she do, she has all the information. Then she can actually prescribe. She can actually do a true diagnosis on things. Okay. Do you ever think that being in a real estate business and talking to sellers or even talking to buyers, if I was looking at this here to be in a position where this could actually save somebody's life as a doctor, do you ever think that if we could become really proficient at working with our clients and closing them out properly, that this is not going to be a life, definitely, really life or death situation here, but it could be a livelihood situation. Okay. So, and I want you guys to really think about that. So what we got to do is we got to start understanding this, because I'm going to ask you guys a question. What happens if Sean goes into that doctor and that doctor diagnoses or prescribes something prematurely? What do you think Sean's going to do if he walks out of there and he's not comfortable. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen? Tell me, guys. What do you think? What do you think, Sean?
Well, I'm definitely going to get a second opinion.
You're going to get a second opinion. Okay. So, second opinion. So, after a doctor diagnosis, he gets a diagnosis, okay, or Sean does, should say, what would lead that patient to get a second opinion? Uncertainty, fear, right? Anxiety about things, feel like they weren't heard. Okay. So I have a question. What if we flip it over to our world? How do you, as a real estate investor, know when it's time to make an offer? How do you guys know when it's time to make an offer? Do you just go in and throw the offer out right out of the gate? Okay. A lot of people do. A lot of people go in, and what they do is they go in, they'll ask a few questions, and then they'll dive right into the condition of the property. And a lot of times what I call the rehab rabbit hole. We'll discuss a bunch of stuff about the condition of the property, and then they'll turn around and just fire away an offer. But they never understood what's going on, and they never focused on solving the person's problem. Okay. So what would happen? What happens is if that investor makes an offer too early, prematurely, guys, then guess what? Then that seller can then go out and start seeking second opinions, which are additional offers. I'm telling you guys from 30 some years experience, and I train thousands of people in this. And in our sales academy, we have some of the best performing teams in the real estate investment world in the country. Some of the top performers that do a high volume of deals every single month. And what they realize, it's not just about generating leads, it's ability to convert those leads. But they understand that the people that do it on the highest level understand how to solve the seller's problem. Because see, any investor can make offers. So stop just focusing on making offers. Instead, focus on creating solutions for people. And the only way we can do that, just like a physician could, is we have to ask questions, we have to listen, and we have to follow through a process on this. So with that said, guys, what I want to do is I want to share with you guys a little bit more what a portion of this looks like on things. Okay. Here's a lesson. And I want you guys to all think about this. If you're able to screenshot this, you should definitely do this. Okay. See, if we present our offer too soon, diagnose and prescribe a solution, we might miss the mark and cause our prospects to lose confidence in us and encourage them to seek second opinions. How many of you guys have ever talked to a seller and at the end of your call or your appointment, they say, well, right now I'm just getting offers on things. I'm just getting offers, right? If you guys are hearing that over and over again, you're causing it. Some will go to this anyways, but if you're hearing it on a repeated basis, it's not the seller so much. It's you and the way your conversation is going with the seller. I have a question for you real quick. Just think about this. Is anybody in here made a large purchase of some type over the last 12 months? A car, a house, appliances, okay, anything like that. Let's just say you were going to buy a car. If you bought a car, did you go to every single car dealership in your area that sells that type of car? Every single dealership. Okay. Why wouldn't you go to every single dealership? Why? Well, most people are in a position they don't want to deal with that. But what made them decide to work with that one particular dealership? Could they always find a cheaper price? Yeah. But what made them trigger, boom, say, I'm going to work with Sean. I'm going to work with Andrew here on this vehicle. What made them do that? Something clicked.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm telling you guys is when people make what we call complex decisions, major decisions to buy or sell something every single day without talking to all kinds of people. And one thing you have to realize is sellers don't want to talk to 5 different investors. They don't want to do that. Okay. So how do you set yourself apart? You set yourself apart by going in and focusing on a way that you can connect with those people better than anybody else, and that they feel like Sean is solving my problem and he's uniquely qualified to do this, even though I have other people making me offers and some of them are offering me more money than other people. Think about that, guys. I had one of my students recently say, Jared, I tried this. And he said, one of the things I tried was a takeaway. I was walking away from things. And the seller had another offer, 40 grand more than what he was offering. But they liked him better. They went with him. Okay. So guys, don't think it's always about the money. People want convenience. They want somebody that really is hearing them and solving their problems. Okay. So, because see, guys, when we look at this, I want you to think about this here. Man, if you got a chance, jot this down. This is mind-blowing for a lot of people. Do you realize that there's our decisions are made either from the logical side of the brain or the emotional side of the brain. Okay. It makes decisions in both areas. But you realize that the logical side of the brain is incapable of making a complex decision. What do you guys think? Do you guys think selling a property is a complex decision for somebody? What is a complex decision? Complex decision is typically anything more than about 3 to 4 variables. I think selling a house has that, doesn't it? Okay. Selling an apartment building has that. Even selling a piece of land has that. In fact, sometimes when I go order a sandwich somewhere, I have more than 3 or 4 variables. Okay. So what that means, guys, is that the very simple decisions are only able to be done within our logical part of the brain, and it's very slow operating. So, and you guys might not know this, I'm getting a little nerdy here, but I like to share with so you guys can understand why we go this route. Okay, as human beings, we're all wired the same way. So don't think because somebody is an investor who knows all this stuff or they're very analytical that they don't have this. Their brain is wired the same way. Our logical side of the brain, okay, and this is going into more the neuroscience side of things, but the logical side of the brain operates very slowly. It operates at an average about 50 bits per second when it comes to decision making, processing speed. Okay, 50 bits per second. Anybody guess the speed of the emotional brain? Anybody?
Twice that.
The emotional brain, guys, works on average at 11 million bits per second. 220 times more powerful than the logical side of the brain. Now, think about this. This is why most investors struggle converting deals, because they are trying to focus on one area when they close people. That is numbers. So that's why people say all the time, let me think about it. Let me get back with you on things. I got to get some other offers right now. I'm just collecting offers. It's the natural way humans make decisions from the logical side of the brain. So what we want to do, what part of the brain do we want to get people into, guys? The emotional side. If we can get them into the emotional side, it's very fast. And then what happens is they make decisions very quickly and we create urgency for them to act. Okay. And the cool thing about it, guys, I want you to realize this. You don't have to be this highly distressed person. You just have to be in a position where the seller you're working with, you have to understand what's going on, assess that information, and basically look at where they're at now and then build a gap to where they want to be. And when I do that, that creates urgency for them to act. Okay. Now, I told you I was going to take you in a little bit deeper in one part of things here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you in and share with you guys, like when I get to the end of things, when I'm ready to present to somebody, I'm going to share with you guys how I present and how I make offers. Okay. For the rest of the time that we're going to spend together here. So we're going to run through this. Okay. So let's talk about how do we do a presentation? What do you, real quickly, and either Andrew, Sean, whoever can, what does presentation usually think of? When you say presentation, what are you guys thinking about? What pops up in your mind?
PowerPoint.
Okay. PowerPoint, right? Okay. Exactly. Okay. Or you go in and present to the seller, hey, these are all the, we're one of the largest companies. We do this. All right. Seller doesn't care about any of that. All right. And here's what I want you guys to get. Another big screensaver, if you can, or picture. Business is not won or lost during the presentation. Business is won or lost on how much motivation you bring to the surface, how well you uncover the deal killers, and how well you present solutions to them all. The best closers in the world understand this, guys. A presentation means nothing if you don't do these things. Okay. So this is what we present to. All this stuff about how doing this fancy presentation means nothing. The only thing I present to is motivations and deal killers. Think about it. If I just spent the last 30 minutes, 40 minutes talking to a seller, either in person at their property or over the phone, and they just told me all this stuff that's going on, now I go into the point where I want to try to close them out. Why would I want to go in and start talking to them about a bunch of comps in the area of other properties that have sold for low? Why would I want to throw them into their logical mind? How about just going in and talking to them about why they're selling, even though they just talked to me about 40 minutes ago? I go in and I recap all this and I present to them and I say, Sean, you mentioned earlier that the reason you wanted to sell is because it was just way too much for you to take care of on things anymore. And then that your health was really limiting this. And this is what I like to do, Sean, on this is I just want to make sure that you understand how I can help you provide solutions to all those. Okay. So what I do is I recap everything they told me. Then I provide solutions for each one of them. What this does is separates you completely from other investors out there that is throwing out offers. What I'm doing, I'm telling Sean, recapping everything he told me in the way of motivations, also letting him know everything he told me in the way of deal killers. Sean, you mentioned earlier that you want to make sure that you had your sister review this before we were able to move forward. And I completely agree with that on things, Sean. In fact, Sean, before we move forward on things, I think what we'll do is let's get your sister involved so we can at least be able to review this with her and make sure we answer any of her questions. Okay. Now, what am I doing? Providing a solution for that, whatever those deal killers are. So that's what I'm presenting to guys. When I can do that, you'd be surprised, guys, how many of these you can uncover and solve. In fact, what's proven here, guys, this is that up to 85% of deal killers can be solved by just simply discussing them. Okay. And just bringing it up in a conversation. So I'm presenting to, again, the motivations that I learned in our conversation, and I'm presenting to the deal killers that I learned in our conversations, and I'm providing solutions for all of them. And guys, when you get good at doing that, they don't even start thinking about the competition because nobody else is doing that. Okay. So, all right, cool. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I'm going to keep cranking here. So that's all I'm going to do on the presentation side. Everybody thought this is going to be this big complicated thing, but I do have a lot of different special scripts and talk tracks that I use when it comes to this. But now I'm going to go into actually making the offer. So if you think about it, I present, boom. And then after I present on things, then I actually go into making the offer and negotiating. Now, another big slide here, guys. It's huge, huge component here is this. The negotiations is not meant to sell. You could be the best negotiator in the world. You could be Chris Voss. Okay. You could be the best negotiator in the world. If your prospect doesn't want your solution, it doesn't matter. Okay. Because negotiations is not meant to sell. Think about this. At this point, guys, your prospect should already be sold and want your solution. Okay. A good negotiations is simply designed to relieve, guys, a final deal killer, which is typically leaving money on the table and not getting a good deal. That's the purpose of this. See, your prospect, if we've done everything right, built the relationship with them and took them from stranger mode to friend zone, and we got them in that position, guys, they're going to want to feel compelled to work with us. Now, all we have to do, we do have to go through that number portion of things, but let's not negotiate until we have to. Okay? Because it's not meant to sell. Anybody ever tells you, oh, it's all about negotiations. Negotiations is part of it. But it's not a selling side of things. Okay? And I'm going to share one other thing here. In fact, I made a note on this. I keep this note on my computer all the time, right here. It says negotiations is worthless without a sales process. Okay. So I'm going to run you guys through a quick 4-step process that we use and my students use all the time to close their deals. All right. And you look at it, price anchor. Number 2, give and take concessions, decrease intervals. And then number 4, odd number offer. So first thing I'm going to share with you is price anchoring. Price anchoring is one of the most powerful tools out there you'll ever learn when it comes to this business. Okay. Now, a lot of people look, and I'm not going to tell you you're wrong if you're doing this. If you're going out and asking the seller, hey, what are you asking for your property? When I ask you, I say, hey man, what are you asking for your property? You're a seller. You give me a number. Okay. Could Sean easily be just looking at his phone at Zillow or something like that? Okay. The moment you do that, you just price anchored me. Okay. So what if I never asked the seller what they were asking? Instead, I give the number first because I want to control the anchor. Okay. Guys, I see this literally all the time on things. Pretty crazy on things. In fact, am I okay, Andrew, with time if we go a little over?
Yeah, you're fine. I'm gonna get in the car.
Okay.
But
Is everybody enjoying this?
yeah, if this is helpful, just keep going.
Okay.
I just have to drive across town, so I'll just get in the car and I'll stay on.
Okay. I just want to make sure you guys are enjoying it, getting a lot out of it on things. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I guys, I wanted to share something with you on this. I had literally a student of mine out of Kentucky send me a message. It says, Jerry, he says, I used your price anchoring technique. I dropped an anchor at 30,000 on things for a property worth 225, and he locked it up at the 30 grand. Okay. And he has it right now in escrow pending for an $80,000 assignment fee. Okay. So well, here's the price anchoring, guys. This is pretty simple. look at this real quick. How many of you guys have ever been to a store before and you walk in, and let's just say Andrew's walking in, and Andrew loves his tennis shoes. He likes these high dollar tennis shoes. Okay. He walks in the store. He says, man, those are regular. Those are upwards of $300. And they marked it down to $149.99. But today they got it for $89. Andrew's going to snatch those up. Okay. He's going to buy those shoes. Why? Because he says that's a super deal. But what tells him it's a super deal? What tells him it's a super deal is what the marketing is saying to him. Okay. Because they created a value to that. All right. How many ever been to a high-end steakhouse before? You go in and they have steaks. You get the Wagyu steak at $50 an ounce or something, and you could spend $500 on the steak. You say, that's crazy. And you go to the menu, and then they turn around and they have grilled chicken on there for $69. You say, man, that's what I'm getting. When is $69 ever a good deal for grilled chicken? Only when you're comparing it to something else. Okay. And the people, see, guys, they spend millions and millions of dollars on this, retailers in different places do. So why can't we use this similar to what we do in our business? So what we do is we learn how to do this in reverse when I'm working with a seller. Okay. We learn how to do this in reverse. And what we do is we get really good at this. And basically I can drop an anchor with Sean. So I'll just give you a quick example. I could be talking to Sean and going over everything. We're at towards the latter part of the sales process. And I'll say, hey, Sean, man, I'll tell you what, I don't know. I feel I almost feel embarrassed on this, on things, and a little hesitant on this, but I tell you, Sean, I would feel really comfortable because I know I wouldn't lose money. I just feel really comfortable at 89,000, but I know that's something you would never consider. Okay. So now what I'm doing, guys, I'm not making an offer. I'm dropping in the air a comparison. And I can even follow it up with this one line. By the way, Sean, that's not my offer either. And all I did was drop in the air the comparison. And what that does goes in the seller's mind and says, maybe my price, I was thinking of 300. Maybe I'm way off. Okay. And guys, so this is something you practice with, but when you become really good at this, you can use the eye anchoring technique to get tremendous deals. And what we do is we have a little process. So what we typically do is we'll use some empathy in the beginning. You notice I started doing that. Like I'm really hesitant. I don't even know. And that's something crazy. I know your house is much nicer than the other ones in the area, Sean, on things, but I love to be at this because I know I wouldn't lose my butt, but I know that's something you would never consider. Okay. So notice what I did. I used empathy. I dropped the anchor, and then I used a takeaway and pulled it back. Said you would, and I told you would never take it. Okay. Guys, what some of our biggest deals are done by using price anchoring techniques. Right. I've got a gentleman out of Pennsylvania, one of my students, 70 years old. And he literally does zero marketing, just goes out and hustles, brings leads in. This is his favorite technique of using price anchoring. And he gets on average $20,000 per pop on a deal. And he just continues to do those over and over again. Okay. So extremely powerful when it comes to this. So again, just remember, you use the price anchor, use empathy, pull back on that side. It's a tremendous way of putting that. And again, guys, remember, it's not an offer. It's a comparison. Just think about it. I'm just throwing out something them to compare to. And because see, in the seller's mind is this, your offer to the seller is neither good or bad. The only reason it's good or bad is based upon what they're comparing it to. Okay. So, all right. So we drop the anchor. The next thing we look at doing, guys, is typically we'll go into give and take concessions. So it's like, hey, Sean, you do this for me, I'll do this for you. Okay. Hey, Sean, you know what, bro? If you turn around and I need a little bit more money than that, Jerry. Okay, cool. What was you thinking on, Sean? Well, I was looking at this. I'll tell you what, Sean, I'd be willing to do that for you if you do the clean out on the property. You get everything out of the property. Fair enough? Okay. Give and take concessions. That's part of negotiations. Never give something without getting something in return when it comes to negotiations. Okay. All right. The other component, we're nearing the end of this, guys, too. So we're not too far away here. Another one is decrease intervals. How many of you guys have been to a real estate auction before, or any type of auction where they're bidding things up, right? They usually jump in big increments and it slows down, right? Okay. We need to do the same thing when working with sellers. We need to reverse it and slow it down. I'll never forget one of my sales reps was in my office, really nice girl. Her name was Lisa. And Lisa would just, every time a seller would tell her no, she'd jump up 10 grand. I said, Lisa, slow down. Okay. Slow down, bring those intervals down. Maybe only come up 5. The next one come down, maybe only go up 3. And then, just a few $100 at a time, maybe down to just a few dollars. Decrease the intervals, make them see that you're slowing down. Just like if you were going to an auction and they were bidding up, it's the same thing, guys, but it really affects psychology of the seller of things. Okay. Then the final thing we do when we're negotiating and putting in an offer is we go in with an odd number. Our odd number is our final offer. So you think, why would you do that? Guys, remember what I told you earlier, the purpose of negotiations is to relieve any final deal killers. And typically one of the biggest ones is that amount of money is going to be left on the table. So what we like to do is set in the seller's mind that we ran our numbers and we're giving them every single penny. So it's not uncommon for my team to lock up a deal for $125,910.12. Okay. We've done the math. All right. And you think it sounds silly, but it's very effective on things. Okay. So that's our framework when it comes to this, guys. Now, I know I went through a lot of this real quickly. I'm going to share something else with you guys. Okay. This is a little gift to you guys on things. If you're in a position where you would like to talk to me and review your sales process or how you're doing things, you don't have to do anything. You just show up. I'm going to give you a copy of my perfect sales call outline. Okay, guys. And you can literally just use a QR code. There's right to my schedule. You can book something. We'll jump on a call together and I'll talk about how you're doing things. And I'll share with you my sales process on things. And I'll share with you I actually have a perfect sales call outline. It's not just a script. It's a whole outline. You guys will really enjoy it. And if you want to jump on a call and if something you guys want to talk a little bit more about the Sales Academy and what we do, I'd be glad to do that. If not, I've at least been able to connect with you. Okay. So
thanks for listening to the REI Deal Finders podcast. You can find out more and apply to be a part of the REI Deal Finder community at reidealfinders.club.